we've got a busy night tonight, so I'm not going to cause trouble and chat too much. But thanks everyone for joining. Keith, shall I hand over to you?
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, thanks, Sarah. So yeah, that's it. We've got some really good full-length sessions and a new speaker session tonight. So we know it might be a bit of a longer one. Anyone who doesn't stay till the end, we do record these and upload them to YouTube, and we'll share the link on our LinkedIn page very soon after the event as well. But yeah, thanks everyone for spending your time with us. Really appreciate you joining us. We've got a big attendance already, so that's really cool. Very briefly, we follow the Microsoft event code of conduct. The short version is just be nice, just be respectful to everyone. We know it's a good crowd because you know a lot of you already, and a lot of you are repeat customers. Keep coming back and being great supporters of us as well. So really appreciate that. So what we've got tonight, we've got a few fantastic speakers on this evening. Well, this evening for where we are in the UK, but we've got Beyond the AI Hype, Crafting User Stories That Deliver Impact by Balazs Horvath. We've got Low Code Give Me a Voice, and that's by Anna Okuomose. And also we've got 60 Power Platform Tips in 60 Minutes by Kylie Kiser and Heidi Neuhauser. So yeah, some really good speakers. Really looking forward to these. Lots of love in the chat already. I'm just checking. We were going to start with Balazs, but I'm just going to see if he's on the call just yet. Don't see you on the call yet, Balazs. So we might actually swap the order about a little bit, if that's all right. What do you think, Sarah? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
I always like to check in with the boss first. So
Yeah, yeah.
I know he's in charge. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good shout. So, yeah, I think without further ado, just so we don't delay, Kylie and Heidi, are you okay to start with the first session? Would that work for you both?
Works for me.
Sure. Yeah. Let
So,
me pull it
bit of
up.
a last minute swap. Yeah, really appreciate it. Thank you.
It would have been a bit mean to throw Anna in without expecting, wouldn't it?
You're kicking off the event. Yeah.
Perfect. We have done this presentation many times, so we should be good to go.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, let me share my screen.
While Kylie does that, I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm getting over / still dealing with a bit of a flu, so my voice is a little off. And I might not be my normal energetic self, but Kylie will bring extra in anything that I'm lacking.
I'll try. We'll start with some quick introductions to our 60 tips in 60 minutes. So Kylie Kiser, I'm an MVP, Fast Track Recognized Solution Architect, doing CE and Power Platform Architecture, currently enjoying a temporary retirement, which is the best. Heidi, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Heidi Neuhauser. I'm also an MVP in customer engagement and Power Automate. I work for a company called Reenhanced. We sell Power Automate connectors, and we do Dynamics and Power Platform implementations.
Perfect. And so here's how we do this. We have a random bank of over 100 tips. I think this time when I saved it, there was 107 tips. And we have a Power App that is going to pop up those tips randomly for us to discuss. And we'll see how many we can get through before 2 p.m. So we'll cover at least 60, but maybe more than that. And I know that a lot of these we're going to be hitting very quickly, like not enough detail, but we hope that you will get something that you can take a picture of and research more later. So let me pull up our app. I just checked it was working, then of course closed it. All right, let's go. Are you ready to start, Heidi?
Yeah. Well, first, am I first?
Yeah, we need a volunteer. Do you want Heidi to be odds or evens?
I think it's unfair to say someone is odd, but if you're happy to be odds, that would be great, Heidi.
Excellent. Right. I mean, you may have just changed the fate of the next hour.
The fate of the presentation.
One single decision.
Last time we did this, whoever picked it, somehow every tip was like opposite of ones that we usually talked about, which we were like, what's going on here? All right, let me start. And Heidi, you're going to kick it off. Perfect.
Okay. Oh, this is, hey, look, it's the Plan Designer or Vibe. But so this specific one is about working in the Plan Designer. So if any of you haven't played around with this, it's actually quite cool. You can use natural language to develop some really cool things. My favorite thing that this generates is actually defining the different personas and coming up with user requirements, which is something that I then use later on in user acceptance testing. So I like this a lot more than kind of the prerequisites, which was just our natural language to build Power Apps or to build Power Automate and kind of put it all in one. So this one enhances all that by, again, giving you those people, the user stories.
And you're out of time. So
I forgot
our
it's less than a
next tip-
minute. You stick it.
So our next tip is mapping tables. I think you still need to switch to Classic for this. The last time I checked, one of the very few things that you need to switch to Classic for. But basically what I can do is say from an account, I'm going to create the primary contact. I can map fields from that account to that contact. But this is only mapped when I initially create that record. So this doesn't keep it in sync, but it helps to make your initial creation of related records easier. And this is something that you can update, like we said, in Classic, and it has to be the same field type.
Look at that, 45 seconds. All right, this is the roll-up fields. So I know in Dataverse, we do a lot of like Power FX fields, but this is roll-up. This is a really cool feature where you can aggregate values. So I use this a lot. Well, here's a screenshot of an example. I want a count of all the opportunities that are tied to a specific account. So then that can be a column that I can embed in views and on forms for a table. It's also really good for customer service use case if you have that at all, where you can sum up the number of open cases or resolved cases or active cases. Then you can add those to a view so your agents can kind of sort by that and prioritize the workload. Very cool thing that you can use all throughout Dataverse.
Perfect. And Power Automate, if you guys are not, well, I hope everyone by now is using Power Automate, and one of the easiest ways to get started is to try out the approvals. So this is so I can trigger based off of whatever, and then I can have an approval and I can choose who that's going to and fill in the details. And I have different approval types. So either everyone it's sent to must to approve, just one of them needs to approve, or I can set multiple types of responses instead of approve and reject, right? I could add other ones, and then I control the logic based on what happens. So every business has some kind of approval process, and that's something to start off easy, easy start using that, and then get familiar with Power Automate.
Okay, more on Power Automate. If you are new and you haven't totally played around with this, a great place for you to get started is in Power Automate templates. So you can easily access these by going to make.powerautomate.com, and then on the left-hand side where that purple box is pointing, that's where you can pick your templates. Now, really cool stuff within each template. Just this big list of views is giving you a ton of information. So grab this screenshot. It's going to show you which connectors are used. There's a number in the bottom right-hand corner. That's actually how many flows are being run right now using that template. So that means people like it and they keep it. It shows what kind of a flow it is, if it's instant or scheduled or automated. And then it shows you who created it. Was it someone in the community, Microsoft?
And also, if you're making sure you're using Power BI, one of the things that we have, I'm not a Power BI expert, so we need these tips for when we're troubleshooting, right? So if you're having like slow performance, check your direct query. If maybe your data isn't being as refreshed as expected, then you need to make sure that you have Power BI Pro or Premium. If your lookups are GUIDs and they're not showing up as the names, make sure you expand to include those tables or use your Power BI transformations. We also have sometimes those And
let's talk a little bit about using managed environments. I love when we get to cut each other off. Hopefully everyone's using these by now, but I don't think it defaults you into using managed environments. You actually have to go in the Power Platform Admin Center and actually turn them on. So why would you do that? It gives you more control. It takes less effort. All these great Power Platform tenant insights. It's actually going to just give you access to a lot of different things. I think it's still a prerequisite for using pipelines. Is that true? I think that's true. So if you want to use all of the latest, greatest stuff in the ALM world, you really should be using managed environments.
I feel bad for the people who have joined later and don't know what we're doing.
You're like, what's happening?
So I'm sure we have a tip that's going to come up later around the XRM toolbox. Oh, we also have to add in the Power Platform toolbox as another tip. But one of the great tools within that I'm sure all of you are aware of is the Fetch XML Builder. Such a great tool. And this is really how I use it. Is I'm going to create my Power Automate parameters, right? So you can build your query in there, and then it will tell you all the stuff that you need to put into that Power Automate get list rows or whatever it's called, right? So that you don't have to learn how to build that query yourself, and lots of other great tools of that.
Now we're going to move on the Dataverse side, and this is a general tip for everybody who is adding or editing columns on a table, and that is to use the description field. I know it's an optional field and we only worry about required fields, but this one could be a powerful little tool that you can use in user training, and it's simply just define what a field is. Really good if it's a calculated field of any kind. So when a user hovers over that field, it displays some text and you can tell them exactly what it is. So this isn't going to solve all your user adoption, but it could save you from a couple emails and questions from your users if you just teach them, oh, if you're not sure what a column is, hover over it to see if it gives you the answer for it.
Yeah, and make your data dictionary so much better. Sales research agent. So I don't think we talk about all the agents in here, but there's so many new agents that are coming out in all the different areas, which are moving from the co-pilot of, you have to review it and then you're still in charge and doing it, to the agent who's actually looking at things and making decisions on them. So the research agent can actually do research on, your new accounts, your new leads, to provide that to your seller so that they know how to prepare for that meeting, right? It will also be doing some reasoning behind the scenes on those research items and saving data to look at later and regenerate blueprints later.
And that research is really cool because it goes outside of just Dataverse. I love that vision. I think it's so neat. And it pairs really nicely with sales qualification. Sorry, model-driven app in-app. Okay, so this is a really nice tip. If any of you are using model-driven apps or Dynamics 365 customer engagement apps, which are model-driven apps, and this is a great solution if you are working with an organization or for an organization who has email fatigue. You don't always need all your notifications to be emails. In-app notifications are an awesome thing that you can implement to kind of make it easier, more intuitive, and not have people creating these Outlook inbox rules that go into the Netherlands that nobody ever looks at. So there are special things that you need to do, and I've totally run out of time, but they're cool. You should look into them.
And I love talking about security and security roles. And one thing that I recommend anyone who's getting started with their security, first of all, we have a separate tip telling you not to use the out-of-the-box roles, but when you create your own roles or copy those roles and start looking at them, I encourage you to remove, delete for as many things as you can. In most cases, you want the users to instead deactivate things instead of delete them, right? You don't want them deleting opportunities that they lost, for example. There are a few things that they might want to delete, like views and like personal dashboards, things like that. But other than that, you probably don't want them deleting anything. So just get rid of all of that.
Okay, we're very meta here. So you can build co-pilots. Did you know you can use Copilot to build co-pilots? How cool is that? So obviously in Copilot Studio, you're going to create an agent from your own knowledge sources. You're going to enable the AI general knowledge, and they're going to author all your topics using natural language, turn on generative orchestration to select topics and actions, and boom, you've used natural language to make a natural language agent and Copilot. It's actually kind of crazy when you start thinking about how many levels deep you can get without actually doing anything and just typing in some really smart prompts and using natural language. So trust, but verify everything that creates too, obviously.
Also, we can enable editable grid for a table. We can still do this, right, Heidi? This is not a lie. I believe it is also still in Classic, but you can enable it so that there's a few different areas that you can enable the editable grid, so you can have it either like within the form or larger within the kind of app navigation. And so this will allow your users to edit those records without having to open them. And you can actually show 2 levels of records. So like in this example, we have contacts and then the contacts related account or opportunity, something like that. So there's no other way for us to show those 2 levels of records except in the editable grid.
Oh, here's a fun one. Dataverse table relationships. So when you have 2 different tables in Dataverse, you can map them. So 1 to n would be 1 record has many related records. It has a related reverse one, right? So there's many into 1. And then there's many to many. So we see a lot of these in Dynamics 365 customer engagement. So end to end would be like a marketing list. So there are many contacts on one list, but one list can also be on many contacts or many lists. But I don't actually recommend using end-to-end. If you're going to build that, what you actually want to do is an intersect table. Sorry if that tip comes up later, but don't use end-to-end because you're always going to need at least 1 more column that you think you will. And then you have to re-engineer everything and headaches ensue.
Yeah, our tip should say never use end-to-end.
They're here, but don't.
Yeah. So we also have this prompt reference guide. So you can, I'm hesitating because I think some of this has changed now that prompts have become even more front and center, but you should check out this link. You can tell which slides Heidi did more work on because she has a little dinosaur in her lovely QR codes. But you can check out this prompt reference guide that will guide you into how to create your prompts and how to better use Copilot. And these are just great things to remember. I think all of us are still fairly new to learning how to prompt any of these large language models. And so it's important to walk through that and understand how to build a prompt well.
All right, so now we're going to talk about model-driven apps and how you can add a URL to the sitemap. So obviously you don't need, Chrome users, all right, Keith. Obviously you don't need to only have like a table or a dashboard. You can add any URL you want to your sitemap. So good use cases for this are if you have like a SharePoint folder that has training materials, or you have an internal like YouTube video, you could just say like training resources or whatever you want, or like go to this really important site that makes your life a lot easier by putting it in the app. So you can do any URL to the sitemap, which is awesome. The bonus tip here is you can have relative URLs, so a specific item within Dynamics as its own clickable link.
And we can use Copilot for more things. So when we're creating our journeys within customer insights, I can use Copilot for all of that as well. Query assist, creating the email like text within the email, image recommendations, refining the messaging, styling of the email. All of that is stuff that we can do with Copilot. And I mean, I feel like there aren't that many people who specialize in these formerly marketing features and the journeys features. So I think this is really helpful to get started. And our tip, anything Copilot, please review it. Don't just send it off into the world, but check that it still, meets all of your requirements and lines up with your standards.
Yeah, that Copilot, just as an aside, because I don't really want to talk about Save Starter Kit, it makes me look like I know what I'm doing in marketing design, and I don't, which is awesome. Okay, COE Starter Kit. If you haven't downloaded the kit, if you don't have it, that's a free download. You can just grab that QR code or take a screenshot. And this is going to give you a ton of tools and components for the entire Power Platform. So there's a lot of stuff in here that you can use to help with your Power App solutions, Power Automate, and Copilot Studio. So there's a lot of information here. It's going to help you kind of work on the planning, the admin, tons of governance stuff inside here. And I'm out of time.
And this is one of Heidi's favorite slides. How to determine what users really need. So I think I know I am guilty of it. I'm sure a lot of us are, is that we go in and we're like solutioning right away and we're envisioning how we think we could solve their problem. But it's really important to stay present in those conversations. Like, be curious, ask the questions that you think are stupid, because they're not, because there you will find someone who is doing it a crazy way, because what you think is normal is not what they're doing, right? Start with what you already know. Don't ask these yes and no questions, and be asking, but why though? And helping the users to walk you through that entire process.
This is a free guide that came out probably 6 to 8 months ago. It's a little dated, but still kind of cool. If you're having problems with prompts, this is going to give you some more information about what was formerly known as the AI Builder, which I believe is now just the AI Hub. But we can take a look at this again if you need help. Though I think the natural language stuff has gotten farther, that this has become a little less important. So let's skip it. Can we do one in 10 seconds?
Can we do one? Let me see.
Oh no.
You'll have 5 seconds. Oh, it's not working. Oh, there it goes.
This is a cool one. Okay, this is a really simple thing. Check that little box right there, and you'll be able to have the modal opening on the form instead of it popping open into a new window.
This tip is around, there's a lot of confusion between Copilot in customer service and Copilot for customer service, and it's the same for sales, but they changed the names to make it even more confusing. Copilot in customer service is when I am in Dynamics and it's on my pane, versus Copilot for customer service, which is in Outlook and could be with CRM or with Dynamics or with another CRM system. That used to be separate licensing. Now we're all confused by what's different. Copilot in customer service is that real-time assistance for our agents, ask the questions, email, drafting, contextually, case and conversation summaries, and some of that is still in the pane and some of that's right in the form now.
Always changing. Okay, this tip is a nice ALM tip, right? So we want to make sure that as makers, we are following a few simple solution management best practices. These are my best practices. You don't have to follow them. Environments, we want to make sure you're using at least 2 environments. You really should be using at least a sandbox and a production. I work with customers that don't. It's frustrating. It causes headaches. Don't be that. Don't find yourself in those shoes when you don't have to. Use a custom publisher for your changes so you know what you've changed versus your ISV versus your partner. Metadata, don't include all components and don't include metadata unless you absolutely need it. Only include the smallest pieces you need, and you can see those other great tips.
And level up. So this is a browser extension that you can get, and you're going to download it, add it to the browser, and it allows you to do all these things you can see on the right-hand side. It doesn't look like this anymore. It's changed a little bit. I'll need to get that updated. But it allows you to do, like, see the logical names on a form. So when I'm looking at the form, I can see logical names and it shows them right there. It could show me fields that are not on the form, show me all the fields for the whole record. And one of the really cool things that was just added in the last year or so was impersonate. So I could go in and view this as another user. I believe that's only available when you're an admin. There's also this idea of God mode, so you can use the form without any of the rules that you have on there.
When you launch Dynamics 365 Customer Engagement, you get a lot of weird duplicate detection rules that Microsoft says, hey, you should probably use these, but you won't because they don't fit your organization. They don't make sense for what your rules are. So do us a favor, go in there, use those as starters, deactivate the ones that don't make sense, that are screwing up your data integrity, and add better rules to it, right? Like, you know where the data headaches are, or someone in your organization knows where they are. And you can set up really simple duplicate detection rules to avoid duplicate data, which includes a lot of headaches for your users and a lot of stress. So edit those out of the box ones, make your own for your custom tables, and use the tools to help you. I love this tip.
Do you want to talk about this tip?
Okay, I just did a video about this tip. Yeah, so this is one of the out-of-the-box connectors, the Compose, and the Compose action in the data operation connector. So I like this tip because you're allowed to grab a URL out of Dynamics or any model-driven app, grab the whole string from your main hub, like the sales hub or the customer service hub, and then remove the GUID record of like the lead that you're on, and then replace it with dynamic content from your prior step. It's so cool. So then anyone who clicks on that link, just boom, magic happens. It opens up that link directly in the model-driven app that you wanted to. It's awesome.
You said you weren't going to have a lot of energy, and you're like doing all the stuff. One thing you can do is you can change the color of your option sets. So when you are defining your option set here, you can actually set the colors there. So some of the out-of-the-box option sets have the colors already set, when you can update those, or you can add new colors or colors for your new option sets. And this is then visible on the card form. And also, bonus tip, but I don't think I like it, you have the ability to add emojis in your option set. So if you want to set them to like smiley face or frowny face, those are things that you can do. Will your developers who are working on your system like it that you do that? Is a separate question.
But will your users like it?
Yes, we're here for the users.
We are in a model-driven app tip here. So when your users open up a record, there is a long list of related items, and that comes from any relationship that anyone has ever added to that table. A lot of them are just going to confuse your users. They're going to find themselves in places that they shouldn't be. They're going to mess up things that they shouldn't mess up. So it's really simple for you to actually go in and remove them. So click on related, then you're going to click the related area you want to move, and then on the right-hand side, just click hide from the related tab. It's awesome. And then you can clean it up and make everything easier. We always want to simplify for our users because they will find their way into places you don't think they will.
Now, business rules. I think some people are still using business rules. I still like them. And one of the business rule options that a lot of people aren't using is the add recommendation. So I can set the action is add recommendation. So I have my like condition, right? And then I'll have a recommendation that's available, which will pop up here. So because my condition was met, I see my recommendation. It's like, hey, this is what you should do. And then I can configure what happens with that recommendation. So I can click apply. And in this case, it's updating my shipping method or whatever silly thing we set there. But when you click apply, it can update those additional fields. So just like looks really nice to guide your users and actually make the changes for them.
All right. This is because someone wanted us to add more Power BI tips. So I added all the Power BI things I know.
And we're like, what is this?
All right, Power BI. I have direct experience in this. I was moving data over and I was like, what the heck is this import versus direct query? So here's what I learned, and hopefully it helps you if you need it. Import means a copy of the data is brought into Power BI. It doesn't update automatically. So it requires a full import of the semantic model anytime you want to update it. Then we have direct query. Direct query sounds like always the answer, right? So direct query is like it's connecting live. Everything that's changing is being reflected here. However, if you have huge data sets, if you use direct query, you are going to slow your reports down to a crawl.
And more Power BI, we can also use Copilot. We could do this presentation that would just be about all the different Copilots. 60 Copilots in 60 minutes. We can use Copilot to help create our reports, right? So we can say create a bar chart for monthly sales. Copilot can suggest the suitable chart type for the data. You can use it to create the full report only within Power BI Desktop. I'm going to hurry up because I can't talk about this for another 15 seconds. Oh, we already talked about XRM Toolbox. Download it if you don't have it. We have Easy Translator. This lets you update your
never gonna make
your
it.
labels, or you can also use it to set your descriptions.
So now we're gonna talk about Copilot in sales, which is actually really similar to what Kylie talked about with Copilot in customer service. So these are things that you get with any of the Dynamics 365 sales licenses, even the lowest one. So record summarization, which is great, recent changes, information assistance, meeting preparation, which I really like. Kylie, hurry it up because it's kind of the same as what you talked about. Let's try one more.
It's going.
I think this is good for my cold. Oh, this is a way to visualize data inside of Power Apps in a model-driven app. There is a button that says visualize your data. If you click on it, it pops up and kind of slowly a really cool Power BI visual. You can use it, you can drill down, but you can't share it and you can't make changes to it without a license.
Heidi alluded to this one. So you can create those many-to-many relationships, but the technical term is gross, because you don't know when it was added. You have no information about that relationship, right? And I can't trigger on when those relationships are created. So generally, I'm going to recommend that you create a custom intersect table, right? So in this case, we have our account and we have their properties and we have a table in the middle of the rental details. So I have a one-to-many relationship between account and rental details and a many-to-one relationship between those rental details and the properties. So I can, at that rental level, keep the start date, the end date of status, active, inactive, and all that fun stuff, and trigger based off of that.
Here's the fun security one. This is Dataverse all around. These are column security profiles or field security profiles, depending where you are in the app. And this is kind of like security model 201, right? You have your base stuff set up, you have your security roles, but this is when you need certain permissions on a column. Like maybe some people should be able to see this data, but never be able to add it and never be able to edit it. Maybe some people should never see it. Like, for example, if you have, I don't know, on a contact form, you have somebody's social security number. You want it to be all stars for most people. So you could create a column security profile that locks the values of that down so that only people in a specific profile are able to see, read, or edit.
Also, we have Power Platform pipelines. I'm trying to stop saying that every tip is fun. We have Power Platform pipelines. So this is a fully managed in-product ALM for us. So admins can centrally manage and govern that pipeline, and then makers can run those pre-configured pipelines, and then developers can use and extend those pipelines. So these are different from if I built a pipeline in, say, GitHub or whatever, or within my, whatever it's called. My words are not working today, but this is right within the product, within the platform. So I encourage you to scan that, check it out, and get some more details.
More fun with business rules, set visibility. I use this one a lot to remove the noise and the clutter. I said before, it's good to simplify the user experience. This is a great one. So every business rule starts with a conditional. This example, which you can't see because it's too tiny, is if a lead is marked as residential, let's hide all these fields about the business because they're irrelevant. And then I always want to put my negative path, because what if somebody changes it? What if somebody filled out a form and said, yes, I am a residential user of propane services. But then when your sales rep calls, it's like, hey, actually, they represent this huge company with all this commercial heat. So then the negative path will swap it and be like, oh, when you change it back to commercial, we want to show all of those business fields and hide all of the others.
Okay, halfway through our time and 2/3 the way through our 60 tips. So we are chugging along. Okay, contact center is a great tool for us to check out, right? This is different from customer service, but also has a lot of the same customer service functionality. So if you're confused about them, you can join the club. But the benefits of contact center are this co-pilot first experience. So agents, contextual answers, all of that built in, all of our omni-channel engagement, conversational IVR, unified workspaces for our agents, intelligent routing, supervisor tools. So some of these features are available in customer service, but not all together.
All right. So this is extending agents using connectors. This is something that we do in Copilot Studio. So we get all of these agents out of the box with certain licenses, and then you can make them do more stuff. And these are with Power Automate connectors, but they're kind of bundled a little bit differently. But at its core, if you know Power Automate connectors, you're in luck because you'll be able to figure out how to extend agents with connectors. So lots of requirements. So if you find yourself not able to do this, check the licensing requirements, because just because you have access to Dynamics and Power Automate does not mean that you have the right licensing to come in here and extend your agents with connectors. So fun little
fun little
Never
tip.
mind.
We also have Dataverse Analytics. So this is going to be in your Power Platform Admin Center under Analytics and Dataverse. And there are a few different places now within the Admin Center that there are different analytics available. But the Dataverse area is helpful because it will show you your most active users, your most used entities, creates, reads, deletes by entity. So you can go in there, and all of these reports, you should also be able to export that data to look at it in more detail. And you'll see there's several like tabs along the top there where you can dive into even more metrics specifically around Dataverse, but there's also similar metrics for Power Automate and Power Apps.
Oh, these are cool. These are custom help panes. This is such an underutilized function that exists for all of model-driven apps. It's so neat. So by default, when you click that little question mark icon, it takes you to Microsoft Learn content, but it doesn't have to. You can configure this to send it to all of your stuff. Not only that, you can have in-app guidance. This does take a lot to set up. This is not easy. It's not like turn on and do this. But it is so worth it if you have a lot of users and they have the same questions. You can have balloons, coach marks, videos, links, bullets as people are changing what they're looking at in Dynamics or any model-driven app. Very
And
cool
it's all
tip.
free and included in their licensing, but most people aren't using it, right?
Yeah.
AI suggestions for formula columns. I think this piece telling you to turn it on because it's in preview, that's a lie, because this exists, I think, all everywhere, I think. Now I'm questioning myself. Doesn't matter. When you're in Dataverse, you can create a new data type of formula, and then you can put in your Power Effects formula. So this would be similar to calculated fields that we haven't talked about, but the new version. And then you can also just in natural language describe your formula and then have it suggest what your formula should be. And then again, like we said, review that and make sure it's right.
It's never been right for me. Copilot for Sales. This is the separately licensed product. I use it all the time. I love Copilot for Sales. I think it's amazing. My favorite thing are the connections with teams. I like the conversational intelligence that I get after a meeting. I like the follow-ups that I get after a meeting. As a salesperson, I could come in and see what's my talk to listen ratio, what questions were asked. Do I click this button to add a follow-up on this lead that I'm really actively going about? I think we need to check the pricing here. I think it's kind of changed again. But this is an amazing tool. Yeah, absolutely incredible tool to help you prioritize your leads, to help you manage everything, and then get notes out after meetings too to your teams.
Yeah. AI Builder pre-built prompts. So this slide previously was the customizable models and the pre-built models, which do still exist in AI Builder, but they're really not featured as prominently anymore because everything is moving over to pre-built prompts. And everything that we could previously do with the models, a lot of that you can do with prompts, right? Like sentiment analysis, all of that would be in a prompt. Even the document reader, we can do all of that in a prompt now. And I think I might have another tip. You can build these prompts with Copilot too. So you don't even need to be good at the prompts. You just need to be good at talking about what you want.
Oh, good. I didn't get to finish this on the solution one. All right. I'm a huge fan of setting up your own publisher. And when I teach new admins or new users why it's important, I show them this actually. So let's say I get this Ren_cats or dogs. I have no idea who added this. Oh, I know that my partner Reenhanced uses that. Then I have new _cats or dogs, or it's a little bit different now, but I don't know who used it. That's the default publisher. So whoever did it didn't know what they were doing. Then I have XYZ _cats or dogs. Oh, I know that. That's the ISV that I bought. So everything that's in there, that's where that came from. And then I have MSDYN or something like that. Oh, Dynamics added this new field. So just by looking at the schema name, I'm able to see where this came from and why.
When you are in your Maker portal, this is showing in Power Apps, but I believe we have that same thing in Power Automate, but you'll see all your things down the left-hand side, and there's that more area that will show you all the different areas that you can add into your list and to work on. And if you click on Discover All, it's going to show you even more things, right? And you can review those and choose which items are the most helpful to add to your left-hand navigation. I'm hurrying up because that's all I have to say about this one. Oh no, I'm only going to have 10 seconds. Use your variables within Power Automate. Anytime you use it, like if you're not a developer, you might not understand what a variable means, but it's just a data, something I'm going to save and I'm going to use it later. So it avoids you from having to like write the same formulas again.
I'll give you the extra time because that was a good one. I'm impressed you got through that in 5 seconds. So Kylie already talked about this. Don't use out-of-the-box security roles. Copy the role. Why? Because Microsoft changes it. So if you spend all this time curating that out-of-the-box security role to be exactly what you need, and Microsoft makes a change, guess what? All of that hard work you just did blew up in your face. Microsoft changed it. All of your changes are lost. You can't get back to your old version and you have to rebuild it. So we added this tip because this happened to me. This happened to Kylie. It probably happened to a handful of you on this call. So you don't have to go through that pain because we already went through it for you. And now you know, open up that security role and copy.
What is this talking about, Heidi?
Okay, these are all the different visualizations that you can add to a specific column type. So they're called display components. They're like the UI controls that you put on top of things. So I looked at this. This is a couple months ago. This is everything that was there. It changes all the time. So we have your calendar control, which you can use on grids. We have your Canvas apps. You can do that everywhere. External website, that just makes this really cool like preview of the URL on the form itself instead of just being a string. You see a tiny little visualization. Knowledge search is cool if you're using customer service. You can add a knowledge source control, so it's going to give you an embedded view of that. Same with predictive lead score. I'm going way too slow. Oh.
You can also do custom notifications on email open. So using Power Automate and the in-app notification builder, we can turn on the email tracking in Sales Insights, part of the email engagement module. So then when that email gets open, I can actually, the record that's created for that email open, we can use Power Automate and trigger an in-app notification, letting people know, hey, this person did open your email, right? And so then you'll know to follow up with them or expect a response or something like that.
Excellent tip.
We can breathe for 1 second. I feel like we might be terrifying the new speakers on this call.
Right? All right, this is another Power Automate tip with my beloved data operation connector. Use this connector pretty much anytime you are going to want to transform data. So this one is to create a table as an output in a future step. This one, I actually wanted it for teams, right? So I wanted a list of all the one opportunities for that day to be listed on a sales channel in Teams. And the output is like really funky and weird. It gives me raw JSON so that I can use the data operation connector to create an HTML table or a CSV table, whatever I want to do, just to format it nicely. So it allows me to map. So I define my map, which is the top one here. And it's saying this column is this output. And then the last step, I can just pull it all in.
We also have the business process catalog. So make sure you scan that QR code, but this is a workshop that will help you define your processes, and it contains over 15 end-to-end processes, things like prospect to quote, procure to pay, 90 different business process areas, grouped by job function, 700 business processes with the sequenced activities and tasks, and over 2,000 patterns that are repeatable things that we can configure. So this is to help you automate your business processes and kind of see how other organizations are doing this and kind of best practices for those.
Use Teams for security. Oh, do you want to talk about this? This is your thing. I love your Teams stuff.
I would love to. Heidi is like, I don't want that. I hate assigning roles to users. It's too much work. So I encourage you instead, create your teams in Entra ID, your security group teams. Now they're Entra teams, not AAD teams. Create them there. Then you create them as a Entra ID team in Dynamics in, the admin center, and then you assign a role to that. So then when somebody is added to the team in Entra, they get added to your team in Dynamics. They still need to meet the licensing requirement or be in the environment group, but it means that your help desk assigns that instead of me managing their roles.
Thank you. I needed the cough break. Okay, this is a tip. Again, Heidi was learning Power BI, how to connect Power BI and Dynamics 365 customer engagement. So you're going to need some licensing, of course. You can't do that for free. Got to pay to play. You need Power BI Pro or higher and a customer engagement license with Dataverse. That's sales, customer service, field service, or customer insights. You need to set it up in the Power BI desktop, and you're going to use the Dataverse connector. So that's kind of the screenshot in the middle here. And then you're going to select your environment, pick your tables. It's going to take a little while to load, and then click complete, and then everything moves into Power BI, and you can start to make beautiful visualizations.
We already talked about formula columns. Okay, well, we talked about these formula columns that exist, that you can create them with Copilot, but also you can just create them on your own using Power FX. They can't be used with roll-up fields or plugins, but you can do some of those operators that are listed there, and works with text, decimal, and whole numbers, yes, no, choice, date and time. So a lot of different field types that you can do. I'm going to hurry up because we had kind of already talked about some of this, but it allows you a lot more flexibility than what we saw I clicked the button, it didn't do anything. Okay, it doesn't matter. A lot more flexibility than we saw in the calculated fields.
Disable recent items. So another thing you can clean up, have any of your users or you ever complained about the fact that when you click into an option set, it shows me the last few records that I looked at? Why? I don't care. It's not related to this record. It's annoying. If your users also don't like it, this is something that you can simply disable. So you go into the form editor in the Power Apps Maker portal. You're going to click on the field on the form, and then in the panel on the right-hand side, it's really easy. Checkbox, display or disable the most recently used items. Save, publish, and like we read here, rejoice. Everyone will be happy to not have that headache in their lives anymore.
We can also use Copilot to write our DAX queries. So like we said, we are not Power BI experts, so we need help. And these are all the ways we can get help while we're creating Power BI. We can even use it to help write our queries. Do you have anything to add on this one?
Nah. I can't believe we've gotten every single Power BI tip I think that was in the slide deck.
As we're hurrying up, this is tip 60, but we're going to keep going until we run out of time and see how many we can get through.
Until Keith tells us to stop.
Yeah, until Keith says stop talking. So Creator Kit, you can install this for tools to help you improve your Canvas apps, reference apps, templates, component libraries, and some Fluent design themes. And I believe that's still being updated.
More fun with business rules. This is to help those passkey required fields. So the biggest barrier to data entry is having too many required fields on your form for your user. So only have what is 100% necessary at the time of collecting the data. This is how you get the rest. So we're going to have our condition when this field has a value or when this date equals this, whatever it is, set these fields required. It will not let your users progress until it gives those data points a value. So this is your answer to my users aren't entering data. We'll let them enter data with one required field. But then once it gets to a certain point, they have to drip it in and give you all those additional fields. So use this. It's awesome. Yeah.
We can also configure our timeline. So sometimes you hear that they don't like seeing as many things in the timeline, or there are different things that you don't want as part of that timeline, or you don't want the notes and the activities, for example. And all of that can be done within the timeline configuration. So on your form editor, you select your timeline, and then you have all of these properties that pop up on the right-hand side. So you can choose if you want it to be activities and notes. You can hide different things here. You can add the search bar. You can expand records by default, and you can also choose which activity types appear, right? Maybe you're creating tasks for things that they don't want to read about.
You can also turn on the what you missed. I don't know why they disabled that by default. I love that in the timeline. So this tip is simply to turn on new features. So in your dev environment, in your sandbox or your UAT, wherever it is, not in your production, you can turn on new features. So you have the opportunity to test drive them first before they're forced upon you. So that's in the Power Platform Admin Center at the environment level. And then once you have turned on new features for, again, your sandbox, not production, you can then use the URL make.preview.powerapps.com to kind of see what they would look like. Want to try another one for 4 seconds? No.
4 seconds.
Turn on new features.
Oh, this is going very slow because I'm in a dev environment. It popped up for 1 second. There is a prompt library. It exists. Sorry you missed it. We can use different input components on the model-driven app form. So Heidi was already talking about how I can display data. I can also choose how I can input data on my model-driven form. So some of these are the easy ones you're used to, just regular checkbox, but I can also do my business card reader, right? So I can scan that, have a photo that would scan and read all the data from the business card. I can have different types of numeric inputs, different types of option sets, rich text editor control, the star rating, all of those are things I can add into my model-driven apps.
Oh, this is more on relationships. This is actually really interesting. So if you've ever had people say, hey, things are weirdly changing, right? Like I reassigned this account and then all of the related activities got reassigned to Kylie too, but they were my activities. It's just her account. Well, that smells like funky relationship behavior. So there's a lot of different settings here. A lot of these you're actually gonna have to switch to classic to go and edit. This is one of the things that still lives in classic. They're all here. Take a picture. There's no way I can read through all these in 10 seconds. But the other funky ones are delete, right? If you haven't listened to Kylie's tip and you allow people to delete, if I delete a contact, did that delete all the related records? That's another relationship settings issue.
I also have settings within my model-driven app. So when I'm editing that model-driven app, you can go over to the settings where you can change things like the app name, the description, the icon. We're familiar with those, but as well, some of the additional features like the contextual email drafting with AI, that Power BI quick visualization button Heidi talked about earlier, enabling offline, timeline highlights, things like that. As well as some navigation and other features. If there are new features that are coming up, you're going to see those in that upcoming tab where you can turn those on or off, but enable those for your users.
Speaking of early access updates, ooh, look at that flow. This is in the Power Platform Admin Center. You'll select your environment itself, and then you can see in the screenshot here, there's an updates box, which you may or may not have seen. It tells you if the current release wave is turned on or off. You can turn it on if you want to, and you can kind of manage a little bit of this. You don't have full control over it, but you can do other cool things. There's also really cool things on that page, like your audit logs, but let's hurry up and go for a different one. Maybe we'll get that next.
There you go. One of your favorites.
So create visuals to support builds, because people are going to tell you with words what they think they want, and then you're going to build it as you heard it, and it's not going to be what they want because you didn't give them a visual.
And probably also related to that, keep your forms clean. Things that you can hide on your form. We're in our form designer. We can use tabs to move our fields out. We can use business rules to hide things, and we can also use JavaScript to show and hide things so that users are only seeing the stuff that they need. Also, in our table configuration, this is what this is talking about is there's a lot of times that I need some configuration data and I need it to be saved somewhere. And I don't want that saved just in the Power Automate flow. Either use environment variables or create a table in Dynamics that is going to be used for your configuration, whether that's, like just a key and a name or whatever within Dynamics.
So this is kind of related to one that Kylie talked about earlier. This is your Power Apps Analytics. So there's 5 reports in the Power Platform Admin Center in the Analytics area. It's going to give you your usage, the location, the errors, service performance, the connectors used. Let's go to the next one.
Yep.
Who cares about
reports? Let's get to 75 tips in the next 2 minutes. I clicked the button. Did it do it? No, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, there we go.
Okay, I still have 10 seconds. Yeah. Oh, this is awesome. I didn't know this existed. I was looking up a weird error I got. There's a whole page for Power Automate troubleshooting. Did you get a weird error code? Just put it in here. Do you need help with something? Just go here. There's a whole plethora of information. It's awesome.
You're so excited as if this is the first time you saw this tip that you wrote. We've talked about business rules a lot. One of the things I can do is show an error message. So I can say, like, if this condition is met that shouldn't be met, then show this error message. And the benefit of showing an error message is it will prevent me from saving the record, right? So it's like, you did something you shouldn't, here's the error message. And again, the reminder is to always have that other path, right? Because if that is not the case, I do not want that error message to be shown, and I want people to be able to save that record. 2 seconds.
Love business rules. Mailbox delegation. This is if you are a system admin and you need to set up user mailboxes so they can send and receive emails out of your apps. You need special permissions on the Microsoft side, or someone with the global admin permissions on the Microsoft side can simply give you this security role, mailbox delegation, and then you will be able to set all of that up without all of the extra credentials that you would get by inheriting a global admin. Mm-hmm. Next tip.
Oh, I didn't push it. There we go.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Take it.
Oh, you can make a custom connector. All you need is access to an API. You can go here and launch the custom connector wizard. It's really cool to get started and make a connector for anything.
And we have forms-based security. So I turned these notifications off. What's happening here? Forms-based security. So we had column-based security, but you can also on your form choose which security roles have access to it. Make sure that people actually have access to something. You'll also configure your fallback rules or make them available to everybody. This is not the same as people not having access to the data, because they could still access the data in their in the advanced find or whatever it's called now, or they could edit their columns. So it's not security, but it does help improve the user experience. I think we're out of time. Do you need one more tip, Heidi?
Oh, that's a big tip. There's a ton of cool stuff you can do at the Power Platform Admin Center. There is an app. You can't do everything there. I'm sure eventually they will be fully like the same. But right now, you can try playing around on the model-driven app that they have, but it's not fully functional. I still go to the Power Platform Admin Center to do everything because I get frustrated if I go in there and I can't find what I'm looking for, and then I have to go there anyway.
So I think that's our last tip. So we got through 78 tips today in under an hour because we started a little bit after 1 my time, and we're done before 2 p.m. So, please reach out to us, connect with us on LinkedIn. I hope you guys have enjoyed our very rapid fire tips. Our goal is for you to have a few things to take away and do more research of, or maybe just watch the recording back and see if we listen on like negative speeds and see if you can catch everything that we're saying.
Yeah.
I think we need to transcribe that session just to get
I think we do. Yeah.
It might just come out
speed.
gibberish.
Yeah.
I've never seen a session like that. Thank you so much. That was
Really
very
good.
high
Yes.
energy.
Thanks, Heidi. Thanks, Kylie. That was absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
Well, and another cool use of using a Power App to do the presentation, which is always cool as well. So yeah, love it. Love it. Really, really good. Sarah, good time for the photo, do you think?
Yes. Yeah, let's do that.
Awesome. Great stuff. So just before we introduce our next speaker, who's going to be a wonderful new speaker tonight, we're going to take the high five photo a little earlier. So if you want to come on camera.
Everyone knows. Yeah, get your cameras on.
They're already getting red. The red on minds. There we go. They're getting there. But fantastic. Look at all these wonderful people. Fantastic. Yeah, if you just want to go on just there, and I will get the view ready and get ready for the photo. Look at this. Fantastic. Good turnout already. Any more for any more? It's nice. There's fantastic. Okay. Great. Anna, do you want to join us as well? Fantastic. There we go. Perfect. Great. Fantastic. Okay. So 3, 2, 1. Hold that pose, folks, and I'll go ahead and take a photo. So 3, 2, 1. There we go. Fantastic. Got it. Thank you very much, everyone. Really, really good. Good turnout again. I love this when people spend the time. So I know just not everyone can stay on for the whole call. So we're starting to take these sort of mid in the call when we can. But thanks so much. Awesome. So we'll go right to the next speaker. So we are very delighted to have another new speaker join us. So Annabel Okuomose, I hope I've pronounced that okay, Anna. But it's going to be great for you to join us and to speak tonight. So over to you when you're ready. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen now.
Perfect.
Okay. Just to confirm, please, can you see it?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I think Dan. Okay. First of all, I want to say a huge thank you to Sarah and Kit for this opportunity. Sarah said, like she has said before, she heard me speak on an International Women's Day recording, and she'd like to have me here. So Sarah, thank you for giving me this new speaker spot. Thank you also, Kit. I'm just going to be going through my slide, which is just a little journey, just me talking through like how I came to Power Platform, how I found my voice in low code, and how Power Platform changed who build. So I no longer had to think that building had to be in a particular way. I was given a wonderful opportunity. So my name is Annabel Okuomose, and I'm currently a Power Platform Technical Specialist with Trustmark. I want to share something that's a little bit personal, but also a tad practical. This is not a technical session. And I just want to also say I enjoyed your session, Heidi, on the 60 Power Platform tips in 60 seconds. I don't know how you guys managed to do 70 something in 60 seconds. Today, the agenda that I would be looking at would be the degree paradox. When I mean the degree paradox, I'm talking about being qualified and not feeling quite clear on what you want to do. Then I will share the turning point for me, discovering Power Platform ecosystem. I'll also talk about how Power Platform creates an empowerment and real impact in your day-to-day life. And finishes up with just a little call to action for anyone that is looking to build in the Power Platform community or thinking if this is the right fit for them. Just a little background story. I know that most times when people talk about Power Platform and adopting it, they are mainly career switchers. It's usually people that are switching from other careers, coming in with their transferable skills and building new careers in Power Platform. But it's funny because I actually have a degree in computer science. So I have an undergrad in computer science. I did my undergrad, stayed up all night, the sleepless night, debugging processes, debugging products, went through the different modules, operating system, networking, algorithm, data structure. But what happened was after that, after finishing my computer science degree, I was confused. I was confused because computer science is actually quite broad. I did not know what I wanted to do. And it's so funny when I say this, but 20-year-old me was freaking out like no man's business. I was like, I've wasted 4 years of my life. I don't know where I'm going to focus on. I don't know what I'm going to do. I did not really feel like I belonged because I did not want to spend sleepless night debugging or writing codes, but at that point in time. But also I did not really know which aspect will I focus on next. Where will I do next? So I was there thinking, oh, I'm in a very dicey situation. Somewhere along the line, a few months in, there was a turning point, and it's an amazing turning point I like to talk about. I was an intern in a company. I was a RPA developer intern, and 6 months in, my boss came in. It was like, "Oh, Annabelle, there's a new platform that people are talking on, LinkedIn Power Platform. I want you to check it out. I want you to read about it and come back in 3 weeks with a project." So I did what every 21-year-old would do then. I went to one of the top universities that most people that started using Power Platform went to. I went to YouTube University. Please, if anyone went through YouTube University, please put it in the chat so I know I'm not alone. So I spent countless nights watching YouTube videos, checking posts, reading, staying so long on Microsoft Learn so that I would bring a solution at the end because I had to demo something. So what happened was 3 weeks later, I was able to do a demo. I demoed a visitor management system. That application is probably the most messiest application I have ever built in my Power Platform career. You'll probably not be seeing the light of day, but it's one that I am so proud of. I'm proud of the application because it showed me that I could build, I could create, and I could do it in my own pace. I could do it the way I wanted. I found an amazing ecosystem because when I started working, I found within 3 weeks Power BI, Power Apps, and Power Automate, and they all meshed together. So I would build this application, and behind it, I would be on aligning automation. It was simple as send an email when approval is given or send an email when this process is complete. But it worked and I could see it and it was fast and I could get quick results. So in 3 weeks, I had learned this thing, I had implemented it, and I did a demo. My boss was impressed. I was impressed. We had to now move from, oh, Annabelle has just learned this in 3 weeks, to how can we deploy this to the real world? I know I wasn't ready because I really did not even give so much thought into like data structure, data type, data verse. I started with SharePoint. I was just happy to be building. After that, we moved on to going to organizations that did not have so much money to pay for developers to do like a full development of their processes, but they had pain points. They had processes that they manually did then that gave them hiccup. And that was where I started going through department by department and trying to see how can, if I go to HRO, what's your current process like? What process can I make better? And what part of your daily job do you not like? And they would explain, and I would see it and would do process discovery, and I would find a good way for them to do their process better. For HR, we could do something like enhancing their payroll system, how to improve the notification systems. I even did something simple like, oh, you don't usually wish your staff happy birthday. You had to manually mark every special occasion for your staff. Why don't I build a process that would automate that process? You don't have to do that, and I saved time. I went to admin and my visitor management system that I started with that was messy at first, that wasn't perfect. I was able to refine it and create a newer version that the admin now use to manage visitors that will come in and go out. I went to IT, and then they used to have to manually send out emails for VPN access requests. I created a simple VPN access request application. All I needed to do was I did a user.email, so it picked out the name of the person that was making the request. You would put in the type of request you want and why you needed it, so your reason for request, and you submit it. And that worked. What that thing did was phenomenal. It changed my life forever. It made me realize that I too, I can build. I can help people solve their day-to-day problems. So the HR person was going to work happy now, knowing that they don't have to do that manual task of drafting an email to send out. IT Access app know that they don't have to be going through the email notification. Their users could just go to the app and create the request. They could also track the progress of the request, send out an approval. And I was doing it. I always talk about how the first day I felt when I deployed a solution is wanting to build from something that you learned off YouTube and reading online. But it's another thing to be deploying that into a real life organization, and they use it and they give you positive feedback. I felt like Superman. I felt like I had wings. They said Red Bull gives you wings. Power Platform gave me a whole new wing. I felt like I could conquer the world. And of everything I found about that, what I really truly liked was that my computer science degree actually came to play. So the data structure I had learned, the database management I had learned, part of it came out in my day-to-day building. And I was happy that my degree actually did not go to waste. I had not just found my fit. So it wasn't that computer science wasn't right for me. I had not found my niche. And that's one thing I am so happy for. Platform gave me this shift in identity where I was able to speak and say, oh, yes, this is my niche and I love it and I build on it. And I know when I was starting, people will be like, oh, it's low code, you don't have to write. But the more you go and you start working with model driven app, you find out that you might extend the capabilities using JavaScript. But even the start of it, the fact that I got in and I was able to transform and do something beautiful, every other thing that came along the way, I was ready for it. Now, when I first tried low code, I realized I could turn an idea into something good really quick. I could help a business really quick. I could help them solve their problems really quick. And I think that is one of the base rock of Power Platform, is that it's not dependent on a degree. Power Platform is not dependent on do you have a degree, do you have a computer science degree or not, because we have career switchers all the time. But Power Platform is based on do you have the can-do attitude? Do you want to learn? Are you able to put in the time to learn? Also, do you have the problem-solving mindset? You just need to be able to look at a problem and have the patience to find a good solution, find the process to how can you make it better. And I talk about it because Power Platform is not just for career switchers or people that have computer science degree. Because I had a friend that has a background in banking and finance, and she's currently one of the best Power Platform developer I know. She has been in it for 6 years. She came from a banking background. I came from a computer science background, and we work together. That's one thing I love about Power Platform. It lowers the barriers for us. We don't have to wait before we build. We can all come together, we can all build, and it can amplify our voices. So I, with my computer science degree, I have my voice. My friends a banking and finance degree has a voice. Someone that's doing architecture before and decides to take a break has their own voice. We had someone on Power Platform I5 that said she was a math teacher before and now she's in Power Platform. I think that's what I actually really like. We are all able to build and we get multiple perspectives. So I come with my own unique perspective. Everyone comes with their unique perspectives and we're all able to mesh together just as Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI mesh together to create something beautiful. We all are able to come together, bring out various perspectives, mesh and create something beautiful. I was able to move from excluded person to a builder. My confidence went over the roof because I realized that I did not have to prove myself with complex code. I could solve a problem and deliver value right away. I could go to a business and have process discovery session, listen to them. Now I wasn't just thinking of building. I was because you in Power Platform process discovery, you need to understand the problem that you are going to give a solution for. And so I would sit, and it also helped me make better human connection because I was sitting. I had to understand why this is a pain point for this user. And there are some processes that cannot be fully automated, but I could give them semi-automation, and that even alleviated and made their problems easier. So I think I really like that. Lower Power Platform has lowered the barriers and it democratized who needed to build. So now anybody can build. I, with my degree, you that don't have a computer science degree, trying to start something new, it just allows more people, whether you are technical or not technical, and we are all able to build. I've seen people start and feel hesitant that can they do everything? How are they going to learn everything? Because I did that. When I started, I was like, I'm going to learn all the formulas. If only I knew that the formulas were unending. Microsoft will continue to bring new formulas. You don't need to learn everything. You just need to start. Start with a little knowledge every day. Just take out time, even if it's 1 hour or 30 minutes. The more time you put, the more practice you put, the better you become. It's just for you to see a problem. Think of how you can build a solution. And that's it. And at the end of the day, low code is not just a tool. It's a way to turn ideas into impact. It's a way to make our daily life better. For me, I started out as a student that has graduated with my degree, confused, unsure of the future. I transitioned into a learner of this wonderful platform, a platform that I am so proud and I'm so happy that I belong to. I turned into a builder, building solutions, low code solutions, helping businesses have better processes. For me, it's not just it's about building, it's about the identity shift that happen in stages. It's moving from that learner perspective to a builder. It's creating real solutions that made everything stick, that made everything glue together. And I became this wonderful builder that has been building in low code now for a while, helped me build real confidence. And eventually, I'm currently embracing this new side of me, becoming a speaker, sharing my journey, sharing what I learned while I was building, and also amplifying my voice while trying to amplify the voice of everyone around me. Power Platform has been able to help me get a bigger community because I started in Nigeria. I joined like the Nigeria Power Platform group where we would have boot camps and Nigeria boot camp. And I came to the UK and I've also been able to transition and come to Power Platform user group in the UK. And I'm also able to find that community. So it even makes it easy for us to find community wherever we go, for us to find our own tribe of people that speak our language, that will speak their language and will connect beautifully. So now it's actually your turn to build. If there's one thing I hope you take away from all my talk and everything I've said about how much I love the platform, how it's dear to my heart, I really want you to take this, that you don't need permission to start building. For those that are already building, you're already doing awesome work. For those that are about starting or thinking, should they go through, I'll tell you that you should go. You don't need to know everything. You just need to start. Building creates confidence. When you build and you go through the reiteration process of making it better. For example, my visitor management system that would never see the light of day, I'm not going to show any of you. It's so messy. I was able to refine it to something more beautiful. And that ecosystem has made me a better person. And I would like you to take just this one thing, is that you should start small, cheap something, no matter how small it is, no matter how inconsequential you might think it is, just cheap something. Start your voice, even if it's about lending your voice to the community, do it. Low code is not just about productivity, it's about expanding who gets to build, who gets to participate, who gets to contribute. And if my journey actually shows anything, is that clarity doesn't come before action. I did not finally figure out where I fit in the tech world by just sitting down and thinking. Clarity comes while you are acting. So while I was building, that was when I found my clarity. Thank you so much to Sarah and Kit for this lovely opportunity. Thank you to each and every one of you for listening to me. I would like to connect with you. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. You could tell me your story. We could swap stories. Let's inspire each other to create more. Thank you so much. It's Annabel Okuomose. Thanks.
Thanks, Anna. That was amazing. Lots of love in the chat. And yeah, I can't believe that was like a first time session there. It was like really well paced and really inspiring. I think that I know a lot of people ask me, I'm sure some of the MVPs on the call as well, how do I get into Power Platform? And I think that story will really inspire. So thank you. It is recorded, and we can snip that little bit out actually, and then we can maybe share that with people looking for some guidance on how to get into it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, really great session, Annabel. Thank you. Lots of love in the chat, lots of good support for you there, but super brilliant presentation. Just keep doing what you're doing, and big things ahead if you keep presenting like that.
Thank you. Thanks, Keith. Thanks, Sarah.
Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you so much, Annabel. Again, many people surprised at your first time speaker. So looking forward to more sessions in future. We also love to have people back for full length sessions if they want to in future. So yeah, I'm sure we can make that work if you're interested. Next up, we've got the final session of the evening. Sarah, do you want to do the intro? Because I know you may not be around for the full length of this one.
I know. Sorry about that. But yeah, we've got Balazs. You know who he is on camera. Hi, how are you? Thank you for joining us. So we've kind of
thanks for having me.
We've connected previously on LinkedIn, but actually met in person at the Shift Enter Summit and had a really good time talking all things geeky business, and it was really impressive. So we've connected over a few things recently. So I'm really happy to welcome you here on High Fives.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And apologies for the hiccup. It was a bit of a time zone and family issue all coming together. But actually, Annabel's session is a very good predecessor to mine, because what I'll be talking about today is how we can understand those pain points that Annabel highlighted, and how we can capture the requirements. So if you're good to go, I'm good to go.
Yeah. I think you should be presenter.
Thanks, Balazs. All over to you, buddy.
Awesome.
All right. Just make sure that you can see my screen, and I will be bringing on a good old mirror diagram. And can you see that as well?
Yeah, I can see both.
All right. I will zoom into that. And right. So it's a bit of a lot of those screens ahead of me. There we go. Cool. So today I will be speaking about how we can use user stories to create value. And I don't know about your LinkedIn timeline, but mine is full of AI stuff and Copilot, and now more recently Claude and Claude Code, how it's revolutionizing how we work. And it starts begging the question of what will remain of our profession in a couple of weeks, years, hopefully. And nowadays the question isn't really, is it worth, can we build it? The real question is it worth building? Is it a problem worth solving? And how can we hone in and elicit those problems as a maker, as a builder, as a business analyst, as a consultant? Our job is to provide solutions that will answer the pain points. And what I found, I've been consulting for for 13 years, and I went through the ladder of being a software tester, an ERP consultant, an ERP architect, an ERP CRM architect, and that was all within the Dynamics era. And 7-8 years ago, I had my good luck of winning a innovation award at one of the big four companies, and that's when I started working with the Power Platform as well. And what I found all throughout is that it's all about eliciting the right requirements and just understanding what we need to build. And that's what I'd like to convey today. Essentially, is how we can build and craft great user stories that can be the bridge between the business, IT, and developers and anyone who is actually involved in a building or a making project. Okay. There, so that's me. I'm the founder and nowadays lead architect of my own company, Visual Labs. We are a 30 person. There. So we're a 30% Microsoft Solution Partner company. We cover the full stack of Dynamics, ERP, CRM, and Power Platform, and we do increasingly more data and AI gigs. But this is not meant to be a promo session. That was just a quick intro. And today I'd like to talk about why user stories matter and how to build a user story map, which is what I found is quite often, what should we say, missed or omitted from building out a full-blown solution understanding. And after that, we'll talk about how to actually craft the user story in the tool that we in the Microsoft ecosystem most often use, Azure DevOps. But if you are using Jira or any other work management tool, this will be very much applicable to you as well. And how we can split and size the stories. And almost most importantly, I will also cover what is not a user story, what a user story should not be doing, that is not in the right place. So I will start with a bit of I used to be a history geek in high school, so I always like to understand why, how things originate, when they came to existence, and what's the story behind something, a concept. So user stories is by no means a new artifact of the modern era. They've been around from as early as the early 90s, preceding the agile methodology, although that's when it really came to limelight, when people started talking about stories all over. But essentially, user stories were very straightforward things. They were nothing but a sticky note, and it had a verb of do something, right? That was the title of the user story, and essentially it consists of three things: the card itself, some of the details. It needs to have a conversation, a composition, a conversation around it. So a user story is meant to be creating a shared understanding, and there's the confirmation piece. So we need to understand when a user story is actually delivered. So we want to make sure that we are capturing these user stories in a very sort of simplistic way that's easy to understand for business, for technical, for project management or external stakeholders, even potentially. So we want to make sure that it's straightforward and easy enough. And as I said, it originated from really just a sticky note, writing on top of it, putting it on the wall, and then turning it around and writing the details as they needed to be. And you could just visualize it. And there's two things, and I think we're increasingly losing that, or lost that, before the advent of Miro, of being able to visualize all these stories, because they just became a long list of items that we need to work on and just work our way down. But in reality, user stories are meant to be stitched together to showcase a end-to-end process. So that's what we want to. That's what I want to show you today. How we can create useful user story maps, and I will actually show you a working real-life example that we did for a client of how we merged up more than 100 user stories into a single user story map to visualize an end-to-end flow, and that's what really helped our client team to understand what is the solution that they will be getting. Okay, there are a couple of examples that I would like to give as well. But user stories follow the same, should be following the same structure, but it's not meant to be. The projects that I've been on, we always started with identifying what a good user story looks like. So that was our sort of go-to user story format, a template. We even use templates to have those user stories create. But average user story should have essentially 3 bits. The actor, the role or the persona, if you will, who is undertaking that. What is it that they want to do, and the benefit, why they are doing it, right? So it's the who, the what, and the why. And it's really important. I've been QAing lots of user stories, literally thousands of user stories, and even seasoned consultants tend to miss the so that section of a user story, but it really helps drive the understanding, the business reasoning, the justification of why a requirement is important and why it needs to be delivered. What is the outcome that they want to achieve? And a good user story needs to have a clear set of acceptance criteria. It needs to be ambiguous, unambiguous, whether you have delivered that user story. It should not leave anything to any wiggle room, but it should also be negotiable, as the principles say. There's the INVEST principles of the user stories. The N stands for negotiable, that you need to be able to going back and forth, need to be able to go back and forth, and the user stories are not to be confused with solution designs or specifications. So they are not your spec sheet. They are your requirements. They are what the system needs to be doing. And a user story needs to therefore produce clear and customer value in itself. And the user story needs to be estimatable, so you can size it up. It needs to be small enough to be able to deliver it in sprints. And to be quite honest, at large ERP projects or even CRM projects, this is quite often not kept, because you have the design, build, deliver, so on and so forth, waterfall stages. So it's fairly hard to do that, deliver user stories in sprints. But I think that's okay, as long as you can track the statuses, and it needs to be testable, right? That's what acceptance criteria stand for. So now we have a fairly good understanding of what the user stories are. They are essentially consist of the description, the who, the what, and the why, the acceptance criteria, a title, and we want to be stitching these user stories together. And when we stitch these together, what they will give us is the user story map. So the user story map, this is the seminal book on the topic by Jeff Patton, User Story Mapping. I would recommend anyone who's interested in this. It covers way more than I could in a session of how to create great user stories and user story maps, and how to workshop this out. So this is his example of actually building out a email client. And what you see there is the backbone at the top, which are your major, if you will, features or process steps. And within that, the sub steps, the blue ones. And actually those, what they call the yellow sticky notes, or what they call the tasks. And those are essentially the user stories. And notice how simple that is. It's just the user story title is just search by keyword, move email, create subfolders, send RTF email, right? So that gives you a set of things that you need to do in that process step. And this is way simpler, a lot more simplistic than your good old business process monitor diagrams with all the diamonds and sub processes and just going through the swim lanes. So this is not meant to replace that. But what I found, because it speaks essentially to the business, it helps them really understand how the individual features will drive those user story elements, bring the user story elements to life. Right, and you see that increment line there. Essentially it gives you an idea of how you can create releases. What are the different user stories that you need to deliver in one software increment, in one software release? And this is the true idea of the minimum viable product. So essentially, what comes in as part of your first release, the user stories that are above that first increment line are your MVP. That's your first viable release. And then anything after that can be the release 2, 3, so on and so forth. Those are your options and variations. And as you're building it out, in one stack, those user stories define priority that needs to be delivered in one go. And once you're done with the mapping exercise, you package these user stories up and you create what is your backlog, right? And that's what we are most used to seeing in the likes of Azure DevOps and Jira, that long list of work items that we need to be picking up. And then when we click it, that's when we see the user story details. And actually, I will jump into that before we go into the user story map. So that fits in well into this piece. So this is a good representation of how Azure DevOps is split out. I'm not going to talk to this in too much detail. This is a sort of a data schema, data model of how Azure DevOps can be used. But what's important is you've got above the user stories, you've got the features and the epics, which is your overarching piece. And beneath the user story, you've got the tasks, the bugs, and the test cases, and all these work items stitched together with different relations give you a 360-degree view of what you need to be working on. And if you open up a user story in Azure DevOps, right, this is where you can see the description, the acceptance criteria, and the related work, and it really ties things together. So as Anthony at the beginning of the session said, user stories give a full view of the project. So as I've been brought in several times to do a project audit or whether the requirements have been captured, whether they are right or not, if they have good user stories, that gives us pretty much the full picture, as Anthony said there. Gives you the functional requirements, the security requirements in terms of the user stories, solution decisions can be tied to it, the functional gaps here, they are tagged that way, the different test scenarios, the estimations, the data requirements, all the activities in the form of tasks, and design, build, and test activities, and any supporting document can be linked to it. So essentially, that set of user stories will give you the full idea of what needs to be done to deliver a working solution. And again, note that the user story is not your design document. It's not meant to be a build specification. It should be informing the design document. So what we've often done is we have created a solution comment or a solutioning field within the user story that helps you design the actual story, right? So as I was going through this and practicing my session, my good friend Claude gave me some useful feedback that I should really be giving you something tangible, something that that you can actually see how this comes together in real life. So I thought, why not show you an actual project that we did where we have pretty much followed this to the T. So I'd like to show you the the Miro board that we used to build. So that Miro board is up there. And I will now zoom in. So this is, you can probably tell from the icon who the client was. And there's nothing confidential here. And even if there was, it's in Hungarian. So that should not be an issue. So how we started this project is we had 4 different divisions essentially who were all working on what they called projects, and our task was deliver project operations in a unified way for the 4 divisions. And we really wanted to understand the different actors within the 4 divisions. What is a PM's job? What is an engineer's job? What is a technician's job? Who does what exactly? So that was our first exercise, that we created a set of personas. And to be honest, that took up several workshops until we actually started understanding, and they started understanding why we were doing this. So we went through the different personas, the objectives, the challenges, the requirements, the important activities, their characteristics. So we created these sort of persona cards for each division. And then those were our actors. And why this was important is that this started feeding our security requirements as well, right? And then for each of those 4 personas, we started building out a set of user story maps. But even before we could do that, we wanted to get aligned on the main project stages. So that was half the job, that we identified the backbones. Those are, the sort of if you're thinking process lingo, your level 2 and level 3 process stages, process steps. So for them, a project was quote, plan, deliver, complete. Thankfully, we stuck with the standard sort of PMI term. And then we built everything around the quote, plan, deliver, and complete backbone steps. And then we broke down the rest in detail. So you can see that this is a user story map that's made up of about 100 user stories. And this is actually connected to Azure DevOps. You can see the little icon and see the statuses and the IDs of who it's assigned to. And as the project is finished, all the user stories are now closed, thankfully. But you can actually see in a very similar way how folks in the early 90s would have used sticky notes, right? It's just a fairly standard 1 or 2 word sentence. Again, it doesn't matter that it's in Hungarian, and you can just see the details. And if you wanted to, you can take your sticky note, swap it around. You could actually open it and be able to pull the details of that particular user story. So this gave us a really good overview, and I think this was one of the main outcomes of the project, or success factors of the project, is that we were able to bring it to life to all the project managers. And frankly, these guys were engineers, but they weren't thinking in terms of IT systems or technical systems. They were thinking in terms of their own processes, as any good old system user would, right? So this really helped them bring their processes to life within how they would be delivered in the system, and gave us that shared lingo. And we did not bother them with Azure DevOps and having them sign in. This was our starting point, and this was our end point to the project as well. So when we had questions about the requirements, we always just pulled up the user story map as if we were standing in front of that sticky note wall. So this really made it easier. It really made it easier to help us deliver that, and the fact that it was 4 different divisions, and we were able to replicate it in a fairly straightforward manner, and we were able to create it, the variants for every division, was just a really big win for us. And for still a couple of minutes, so what I'd like to talk about is something that most teams that I've seen working, well, mainly in the ERP side. Sure, this is slightly different in the CRM space, but quite often teams don't really estimate or size up the user stories the way it was originally intended by the founding fathers of the Agile movement. So that's where I want to get to. So ideally, a user story can be delivered in one sprint, one iteration, whether that's 2 weeks, 1 week, or 4 weeks. You want to deliver end customer value that can be used end to end. And if something is bigger than what you could deliver in a single sprint, then you should be splitting that user story so that you can package it all up. And the reason why we have that cake diagram there is the saying that I hope I won't mess up is you cannot eat a half baked cake, but you can eat a half a baked cake. So it doesn't matter. It will matter how you're going to slice it. If you slice it this way, you will still have cakes. If you slice it that way, you will be just eating chocolate and whatever pudding you have there, and that won't give you that feeling of eating your cake, right? So you want to make sure that you are slicing an end-to-end functionality. Yeah, sorry, just going through the comments. Right, so these are some of the. I won't bore you with going through them one by one, but might be worth screenshotting or keeping this in mind if you ever get into a stage where you need to be splitting user stories of what are the different factors of how you can split one up. The one I quite often like is actually the CRUD operations. So you can create, update, or delete. So every one of those would be a separate user story. So you immediately shrink it down. Or if you have mobile users or back office users, you can split the user stories based on who's using or what platform they're using them on, or different business rules. So if you have a workflow for under 10K, then it's one approval route. If it's above 10K, then it's another approval route, and you might want to split it that way. So there's several things how you can do that, and again, it's just what I'd like to come back to is what I said at the very beginning. It is incumbent on us, makers, builders of the Power Platform, that we make the best use of the platform. We build it in a way, we build a solution in a way that it actually solves a real pain point. And in order for us to be able to deliver that, we will need to be able to elicit the right requirements and articulate them in a way that's understandable for both the business and the technical fellows in the team. And this is how I stopped the previous presentation that I held that Sarah. So is that it's really important for us to create value, or else it won't matter what we built. So I think that is increasingly true for the AI era. And thank you so much. All right.
Balazs, that was fantastic. Thank you very, very much. And to the minute as well, like perfect timing. Thank you so much.
Nice one.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for Balazs? Just feel free to use the raise hand in Teams. Fantastic. Well, there's no questions just now. Lots of love in the chat. Again, fantastic session. Really clearly spelled out as well. And I love the cake analogy because I love cake and it's nice and straightforward.
Nice one.
Thank you so much.
You have a question? Anthony?
Yeah, feel free to come off mute if you have a question. If not,
okay. Please, just a quick one. How do you explain a user story to a client who doesn't seem to understand? What's the best way to communicate it?
It's almost like they don't need to understand the user story, right? Because I just want you to describe your day-to-day working, right? As a accountant, as a janitor, you need to do something in your job so that you achieve a means, right? So that and then quite often if the client is not technical, doesn't understand the concept, just have them talk about their job, right? So what do you do? Okay, so you as an accountant, you need to be registering invoices so that they get paid, or so that they can be accounted for, so that, right? So what is it that you do that for? Or you need to send something for an approval so that something happens. Okay, so when do you accept an invoice registration? When you can enter the financial dimensions, when you can select the vendor. Okay, is there anything else that you would want to enter? Okay, that's it. So move on, right? So it's almost like you have them speak, and you sort of you take notes, and you craft the user story by speaking with them, or have them speak.
That's nice. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, very good question. Thanks. It's actually a very common thing that it's a hard concept to grasp for an end user. So thanks.
Yeah, great question. Any more? Okay, I think you're off the hook, Balazs. I think we're all done there. So
cool. Awesome.
Brilliant session again.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks everyone as well for joining us today as well. Really appreciate you spending your time with us as well. Some great sessions there by everyone. We will upload the event to YouTube and share the link on our LinkedIn page so people can watch back if they've missed any part of it. So with that, thanks so much for joining us. The next event's going to be in April. We're looking at Tuesday the 7th of April, but again, we'll post on the page and give detail nearer the time. So with that, thanks very much everyone. Take care and we'll see you next time.